And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all can be with us. For those of you who are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. Glad you all found us. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. You also will see one of the projects that our next guest has been a part of. We're excited to welcome Ajamu Frasier to our broadcast today. He's not only an artist, but an individual who's been able to do what he loves when it comes to bringing visions to life and to be able to see that work being shared literally with the world. We're going to talk to him about the journey, what it's been like for him to be able to find his own artistic voice, but also to be able to inspire and motivate people along the way. We are simulcasting our broadcast today, so we're welcome those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. If you guys have any questions for Ajamu, make sure you guys put those in the chat. I see you over there at TAW Production over on the IG side. Frasier, hello to you. Good to be able to see you over there on IG as well. But Ajamu, hello to you. Thank you so much for being with us, man.
Good. How are you doing, man? How you doing?
It's good to be doing here. Really good. Glad to be able to have you on, man. Congratulations on what's been another great year for you. You know, we say on this program all the time, Ajamu, that our gifts will definitely make room for us. What has it been like for you to see that happen in your case?
Well, one of the beauties of being a creative is that you can kind of just sit down and whatever pops in your head, create at that moment, and that's been kind of my calling card, maneuvering through the various systems of whatnot of Hollywood and however, creating kind of my own thing and getting people interested in that way, and then, wanting to hire me for projects, So
have you always known that art was going to be that gateway for you to be able to introduce what you could offer?
The answer to that would probably be no. I mean, I've always loved it, even as a child, but I grew up in a, Midwestern town where people were like, listen, that's kid stuff. What are you doing? But it was always funny to me because I always thought, well, I know adults are making these Bugs Bunny cartoons, so I don't quite get that's my kid thinking, like, I know kids aren't making this stuff, so I don't know how you get from point A to point B. But it wasn't until later I had a friend in college who was actually majoring in 3D animation that I was like, oh, okay, I see how you can make that jump from here and go into it professionally. So, again, kind of networking and meeting people to let you know, hey, this is what you can do, this is the directions you can go in,
Right. And I think too, in that process though, I think the interesting thing is that you've been able to not only introduce your art to the world, but also to educate along the way. Like if someone is just hearing about someone who's a storyboard artist, Ajamu, how do you know to explain to them exactly what that is?
Well, I usually just say it's like visual brainstorming. We're not, you meet with the director, or you meet with a team, and they're like, hey, this is you see either the script or you hear thoughts of the story. So now we got to take those thoughts from here and bring them into some visual space, and so you pitch your idea, they give you the script, you go down the script, you come up with the different frame by frame, scene by scene, your thoughts of that, and then you collaborate with the director and you collaborate with the team, and you decide, okay, we like these shots, or let's change these shots a little bit, let's turn it here, why don't we have it flipped 180, let's go this way, so it's definitely a brainstorming process with a team of individuals, and there's a lot of synergy that is involved. They throw something at you throw something back, and you just build upon it.
And I think the interesting thing about when I was prepping for your segment, Ajamu, is that I thought about that just like we interview recording artists on this broadcast, or even authors, right? And they kind of have their own genre or niche. It's really the same thing for artists as well, right? I mean, so what has that been like for you to see how there is a niche that can fit what your passion is? 'Cause I think a lot of times when people say they're an artist, that can be kind of broad. What was it like to kind of find your space to know what type of artist you wanted to be?
Well, that's an excellent point you bring up there, because again, when I first came out here meaning to Hollywood, that was, I did have this very broad concept of like, I'm an artist, I like to illustrate, I like to draw things. But as you get into different areas, you'll find, hey, there's do you like to draw cars? I mean, it can get very, very specific, it can get really, really niche, there's certain guys that are just better at doing the choreographed martial arts stuff, whereas there's some people that can really put together some drama, so there are these different things that I think artists should think about, when they're trying to go into these areas, and specifically into filmmaking. There's these different, people think of concept art and they probably think of someone designing a character, but there's also, you got to design buildings, you got to design backgrounds. There's a number of variations to designing that you can think of. Some areas more competitive than others. Storyboarding, for example, is more of a, it's not so much about this, oh, this is a beautiful piece of art we're putting here. It's more about what's the story, and visually, what is this story? What's important to this particular scene, and I would argue pretty much any of the big films that anybody has ever liked, if you look at them scene for scene, it's very intentful. You know exactly what they're trying to portray and what's going on with it. So yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah, and I think in the middle of all of that, which is why I was excited about having this conversation with you, Ajamu, is because I think you're going to let a lot of people see, for one thing, there's a place for them, right?
Absolutely.
But also, I think how you don't have to lose yourself in the process, because we linked up your Instagram, and if people go to your Instagram, they can see the different types of work you may be able to do. How important is that for you not to be stifled when it comes to your creativity, and just to be able to create what you want to create, even if it may not be for a certain project, just for yourself to have that release?
Well, I think that's very important, because work is work, and then sometimes you got to have those outside pleasures or other things. Where it has worked for me is that people end up being able to see, like, oh, you have a number of different styles you can do. You don't have just your own style, but hey, you can do anime, you can do a more realistic, or you can go these different ways. I might have started in one area, but just for my own growth, I'll experiment and try some other things and see how it goes. And through that, people see that you're working things out. And especially for what I do as far as storyboarding, since it is such a problem solving type of position, I have to be able to pull from a lot of different things. I have to pull from a lot of different ideas or thoughts or what have you to bring that to the table.
Of that. On the Amazon side, Ajamu, they're seeing piece by piece there. It's available there in Blu-ray, but highlight for you guys on the carousel on Amazon, or they can see the DVD. Talk to us about your part in the piece by piece graphic that we're seeing there.
So my part in piece by piece was as a storyboard artist, and I came in I think it took the film approximately 4.5 to 5 years to come from beginning to end. And I came at a point, and since it is a documentary, and so it was shot like a documentary. You're getting all these interviews from individual people, so it didn't really start from a script like a traditional movie. So a lot of what I had to pull from were initial interviews and what was being talked about, and so then we had to translate what was being talked about into some type of visual scene. So there was lots of brainstorming going on, and so just trying to figure out are we capturing what they want here, and then then it had to go to Pharrell's team, and Pharrell's team had to figure out, and then once it got there, Tremolo, the production studio I was working with, then had to connect with the animation studio, and there was a litany of things there that they were like, well, you can do this with Legos, and you can't. It was a thick book. You can do things you can and can't do with Legos. So now you kind of have to, weave through that and everything too. But at the same time, develop this incredible story that definitely comes up on screen, because it turned out to be an incredible movie.
Exactly. So again, from the Amazon side, you guys can be able to get piece by piece there, the Blu-ray, or again, I'm going to highlight the DVD for you guys there. You can see the price in there for each one. So for those who are just tuning in, see you guys coming in over there on YouTube as well. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We're speaking today with Ajamu Frasier. He's not only an artist, but a visionary that's been able to bring his work to all of us. And also, as I mentioned, be able to inspire other people along the way. As we recognize in November, it's National Entrepreneurship Month, also shows the freedom you're able to have when it comes to your creativity. Want to give some shout outs over there on IG as well. Wahida Clark, hello to you. Good to be able to see you. Another fellow Amazon live streamer. Butterfly Thoughts, hello to you over there on IG. Thank you so much for joining us. Also, Reddit Goddess, I think it's pronounced. Hello to you as well. If you guys have any questions or comments for Ajamu, make sure you guys put those in the chat as well. So I wanted, as you were just talking about that, I thought about what a wow moment that must be for you, Ajamu, to be able to have worked on a project like this, to be able to have your work recognized that way. Do you find yourself continually having those wow moments when you think of how you started and where you are today in 2024?
Well, well, absolutely, because again, it is just being persistent in what it is you're trying to do, and I've been using this word too, having the intent. What is it that you're trying to do? You go from big ideas sometimes, and sometimes just needing to focus in on what it is that you want to do. Um, a good friend of mine who storyboarded on the John Wick films. He was the one he kind of mentored. He kind of gave me some ideas and was like, "Listen, this is how you need to focus down, and if this is what you're interested in, really focus on these things." So it's constantly doing your homework and picking up. To your point with this film, for example, I had never drawn Legos before in my entire life, but I did when I got the brief of what was going on. I just went for a couple of days just drawing Lego, a number of just a bunch of different ways, just so that I could just incorporate the imagery and just be able to move and come up with move through the boards quicker and faster, and just be able to give that language visually that was necessary.
I want to share my screen for a moment, Ajamu, and show them your Instagram because something when I was prepping for your segment really stood out to me. So, for those who have not seen some of the work of Ajamu, again, make sure you guys are going to be following him over there. We will let you guys know how to do that. I want to focus on this particular post that you made back in 2022. I made a note
Mhm.
of Ajamu. And the reason why is because not only are you able to show your work, you're also able to tell part of the story. So, it really shows the teacher in you. Is that something that you've always known you wanted to do, is to be able to not only to showcase your work and talk about your process, but also to teach along the way to let other people know about what they can do and also how you did what you did?
Absolutely. I always feel like, and for anyone, especially once you get to be a certain age, I feel like there's always turn back and be able to uh, guide or direct uh, the younger folk or someone even interested. Um, I would dare say, in entertainment and specifically, animation. There's not a large amount of African Americans that work in that area. So why is that? Part of it is perhaps because they haven't been connected to these things, or perhaps, so yeah, if I can somehow either ever, you know, give some information or even enlighten someone about, hey, this is the bumps I had, the troubles I had, or this is what I did. This is what I'm always open to passing that along. I love that. Yeah.
When I talk to actors and even to some authors, Ajamu, sometimes one of the things that they have to deal with is making sure they don't lose themselves along the way. In you and your quest to pursue your own goals and dreams, how important has that been for you to make sure that no matter what project you work on, that you don't lose who you are at your core along the way as well?
Super important. I think that's very important. And I, everybody's built a little different, but that's 1,000% important for me. Again, that's why, as I was saying in the beginning, I'll go back once I get done with a project. I'll go back and just do something that's just for me. Something that I'm thinking about. And that's also why a lot of my Instagram is more of just personal type of work. Uh, because I think, like I said, I think that's all. There needs to be a place for both, so that you don't just feel like you're probably a cog in a machine. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't become so robotic for you. So yeah, I think it's very important to connect with that, and I also think when you stay connected and grounded to yourself, it kind of comes forward in your work. And so then eventually, more of that will come forward.
Where do you find that you draw personal inspiration from for yourself?
A lot of things from childhood that I appreciated. These days, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of comes from family. My family, my wife, my two kids, they are definitely a muse of mine that is constantly there. Um, uh, and then I like to I go to the cafes and meet up with a couple of artist buddies, and we like to just out in nature, out in the environment is also good too. And not just being here in front of the screen. We like to go get some coffee, we sit down and chop it up and talk with other people. That's also where I find inspiration. Just talking about whatever the news of the day or whatever the latest films we've seen or something like that. And just chopping it up. Those are all sources for me.
I referenced that one post from 2022, Ajamu. But even in we look at the past 2 years or the past 10 years, technology definitely has evolved a lot, helping individuals like yourself in many ways. What has that been like for you to make sure you're staying on top of that? Because I've always felt like that's part of the educational piece of anything, of any industry, is to know what's out there and knowing how you can be able to harness that or use it. How important has that been for you in your line of work to make sure that you're staying educated and up on it as well?
Very important, and obviously we're here and we know AI exists, right? And there's a lot of that, right? But the truth is, there's always going to be some new technology, and we're going to always have to kind of upgrade and follow and focus on that. Um, and I think it's very important. You got to stay on top of what is out there, and how is it going to affect your industry, what I'm saying, or not. So I think that's highly important.
So moving forward and looking ahead, what are you excited about as we're coming to a close of another year? Is there something you can tell us about that you're interested in working on or that you currently are working on?
I actually have three projects. Can't give details about them right now. I got
Okay.
about three projects right now. They're graphic novel in graphic novel form,
Mm.
with three different writers. And what I like about it is that, again, I know that AI is on everybody's lips and everybody's concerned about it, and it is something to think about it because it is the new technology. But one of the things that I think that you know I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. It's just people enjoying to work with one another, and
Yeah.
that's something that you know. These three projects are great because they're it's me and a writer. One has worked on a CW. Two of them worked on CW shows,
Right.
and so there's this fountain of creativity that we're bringing together. And again, that synergy play back and forth. They have an idea, I throw that back at them with another idea, and it just builds upon itself. And that part, that's just humanity working together. And I think that part is what's exciting to me. So
Love it. Well, it gives us something to look forward to. Again, everyone, Ajamu Frazier has been our guest, talking with us about his own artistic journey, what's been like for him to do what he loves and see that work being rewarded, but also to be able to inspire and motivate people along the way. Ajamu, it's been great having you on the broadcast today.
hey,
How
thanks
can
for
our
having
audience,
me.
yeah, how can our audience stay connected with you, man?
You can connect with me at Amuvo, as you see my handle there, at Amuvo, Amuveau. That's my handle for Instagram, Facebook, and X. And it's also my website at amuvo.com. That's where you can find stuff and keep up to date. Please connect with me. Love to talk with you.
And if you guys are joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, we have all of those links there for you guys, including his IMDb as well. If you guys are joining us on Instagram, it'll be in the stories. So make sure you guys do check out our stories there. Again, Ajamu, I really appreciate you, man. Looking forward to having you back on the broadcast again.
Hey, look forward to it, Cyrus. Thank you.
All right. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. Again, if you guys are new to us on Amazon, make sure you guys hit that follow button either here in this corner or down below. Black Friday is coming up. We're working with over 100 brands to bring you guys some great deals starting next week. Black Friday deals are starting here on Amazon on the 21st. So make sure you guys are following us so you can see what we have to offer. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Hey, take care.